What's up, everybody? We're all on lockdown, well, shelter in place, whatever you want to call it, because of the coronavirus. It's spring. You want to be outside. Some people like to garden, some don't. I do. I like to try different things. I've been watching some YouTube lately, and there's a gentleman in Oklahoma named Mr. Leon. He's got a channel named Gardening with Leon, and then he's got another friend in Oklahoma who's a state trooper who uses the same technique, using pots, self-watering wicking pots, or whatever they call them, to grow big, beautiful tomatoes, plants, vegetables, herbs. So today I decided to give it a try. I'm going to see how it works out. But the theory behind this is that you normally have a container. For those of us who can't dig in the ground or can't have big, beautiful gardens, we use containers to garden, right? At the bottom of the container, you have holes. You add water in, all the water comes out. The soil doesn't really have time to absorb it. You're supposed to water 2 or 3 times a day, very, very lightly, just to get the soil moist and keep it moist. Some of us don't have that luxury. Some of us just try to do it 2 or 3 times a week, and we starve our plants, and they produce, but they don't produce how they should. So the idea behind this is that you have a pot, you stick a hole on the side, and then you fill it up with a material that's going to keep a reservoir at the bottom to allow for water and air exchange to happen. So as the plants use up water, you increase the air, and as you fill it up with water, the air decreases, but it never keeps the entire soil moist, allowing it to rot. So we're going to try it out, see how it works out. I'm using 2 tomato plants. I'm using 2 types of buckets and 2 different types of inserts, reservoirs for water. One, I'm going to be using an old 2-gallon or 1.5-gallon container and put a sheet over it, and then the other, we'll be using recyclable goods around the house. As you can tell, my hands are dirty. I've already done it. So let me show you what I did. So just got a bucket. As you can see, no holes at the bottom. You can, but if you drill holes at the bottom, you're going to start losing water, and all the water you put in just goes right out. So the one idea that I saw that I really liked is you get an old 1-gallon or 2-gallon plastic tub. You turn it upside down, and they recommend you using commercial grade landscape fabric. Apparently this that you buy at Home Depot only lasts you like a year or so, but the goal is we're going to cover these holes, cover up those holes with the landscape fabric, which allows water to penetrate into that void, and it creates like a reservoir. If you don't put this stuff over it, ideally commercial grade again, dirt goes into the holes, and your void gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and eventually you just defeated your own purpose. So you get this lovely stuff. You go, this is a 3-foot roll, and you just go. And you're going to fill dirt along those sides. And again, since this is weed fabric, it has a bunch of teeny tiny holes, as you can tell, which allows water and air to move through, but doesn't allow the dirt to go through. So that's one way. And then to keep it full, add some extra PVC pipe. You cut a beveled in on one side, you tuck it in, and that'll be how you fill it up. So whenever you fill it up, it'll be full. And I don't know if I mentioned, but you see a little hole right there. That hole's supposed to be 1 inch lower, 1 inch lower than the top of this, which gives it the air pocket. The other bucket is you get a 5-gallon bucket. Again, you drill a hole 1 inch below the top of whatever you're using. I'm trying to recycle, and I don't know who would drink all these beverages. I mean, that's a lot of recycling I'm doing for my neighbors. Also, Pepsi's. You wonder how you're going to get air in and out through there. If you can tell right there, 1/8 hole all the way around, and then a 1/8 hole to the top. And again, that's going to allow water to seep in. The water's going to move up and move up and move up and move up until it reaches that top, and it won't go up anymore. You got an air pocket. And as the plants start using the water, it's going to go down, and this hole here is going to allow air to run back in, and it's going to keep your roots from drying out. Where's my hole? My hole's there. You want to put the piping near the hole, and voila. On this one, you don't need to put the cough down because the holes are so small that they don't allow dirt to go in. They kind of get clogged, but still allow water and air to move in. So this way, you're able to do some recycling with some old cans or bottles, and the other way, you use your old tubs from planting. I'm going to fill them up with dirt, and we're going to see how it works out. Alright everybody, so what I used is this all natural potting mix. It's for outdoor containers, so it has a little bit of a mix, peat moss or vermiculite, instead of using topsoil or garden soil. That tends to be compact, it doesn't stay as airy, so you want to use a potting mix instead of a normal topsoil or garden soil. So as you can see, we're at the very top of both containers. Just so you see that. Alright, at this point, Mr. Leon from Gardening with Leon recommends you use half a cup of sustain and some sea mineral. I don't have sustain, I don't have sea mineral, but what I do is I have a fruit and a citrus plant food. It's organic. I don't know what the breakdown is. It looks like it's a 3-5-5 nitrogen to phosphate to potash. But what we're going to do is just going to put it way down here. We're going to put about a 1/4 cup. And the reason we're putting it this far down, according to Mr. Leon, is that these baby plant roots are still too immature and they can't start taking up nutrients. The reference he used is that you don't feed a baby a steak because they're not able to digest it, and you give them baby food and you wait till they're older and you start giving more specific things. So in this situation, we're going to put it down. He also recommends using something that's high in nitrogen at the beginning, because anything that's high in nitrogen is going to start putting foliage out. Since I'm going to be using planting plants, or I'll be planting tomatoes, we're going to use this 1500. It's calcium nitrate, helps with blossom end rot, especially in tomatoes. So we're only going to do about a 1/4 cup of this. And again, We're gonna go towards the edges because we want the roots to grow towards them. We're gonna fill the bucket all the way to the top now. So I've been watching a couple of videos where some people like to leave a lot of room. Leon and Daniel from Arms Family Homestead, they go all the way to the top. And I pretty much ran out of potting soil, so that's as far as I'm gonna go. When I get some more, I'll top it off. Those are my self-wicking pots. Tomatoes, as you know, when you use a regular container, everything usually has a bunch of holes at the bottom. So you feed it 2 gallons of water. Usually you're gonna get a 1.5 gallons to 2 gallons of water come out the bottom. It's only gonna absorb very little into the soil. And in the hot Texas heat, you'll be watering these things 3-4 times a day. Most people don't have that time. The plant wicks, the soil wicks the water up to the plants, and the plant drinks. Water goes down, and every time you fill it up, it has a remainder. So it's always giving itself a little drink. Tomatoes like a lot of water. We're just gonna try it out and see what happens.